back to my little corner of the internet. I pray you all had the best and most blessed start to 2024. I hope you're all well and are keeping in extremely good health and in perfect happiness. So today I thought, why not come up with the books that I read in 2023, and yeah, it was a very good year for books and less doom scrolling, and I do hope that I will definitely continue with that spirit of discipline and not be so consumed by the phone so much, because it's really becoming a battle of the attention, isn't it? So I love books. I've always been a bookworm, and I have chosen these books because those are the books that really spoke the most to me, in the sense that the characters, they came to life and they stayed with me, they haunt me today, and they inspired me. They diluted my thinking, as Catherine said in Wuthering Heights, I've dreamt in my life dreams that have stayed with me ever after and changed my ideas. They have gone through and through me like wine through water and altered the color of my mind. So these are the books that have really done that to me. They have stayed with me. They have changed the way I think, the way I reason, the way I see the world, the way I view myself. So it's a very cozy video. I have my chamomile tea over here. I'm trying to be the healthier version of myself. Same me, just healthier, inshallah. So here I have chamomile tea, no sugar, just plain. I love it. It just relaxes me, especially at the end of the day. It has really become my bottle, you know, like a baby to a bottle, or the booby to the baby. That's the same thing with chamomile tea. It has become that for me, and I just fall asleep quicker, and it just makes me feel good. And also obviously less sugar and all that stuff. No particular order. I have Wuthering Heights, obviously, written by Emily Bronte. I love the Brontes. Like I always say, they won the intellectual gene pool, I should say. They're just fantastic. This is it's ghoulish in a way, because it's about ghosts and all, but this is a story of love, and obviously it's heartbreaking, definitely. And I love Charlotte Bronte, but I feel like Emily Bronte was deeper in her manner of writing. It's a small book, but it is really layered, and you get to see the Lintons, you get to see Heathcliff. Heathcliff is one complicated guy. If you think men are complicated in 2023 or 2024 nowadays, Heathcliff was the ultimate complicated, ultimate bad boy, and oh my god, it's a heartbreaking story. That's all I can say. It's very heavy. It's got beautiful moments, but there's a lot of death in this book. But then again, Catherine, she really stayed with me, and Catherine Jr., that is also, I mean, I don't want to spoil it for you, but this is a heavy book, well written, definitely a classic in my opinion, and just my second rodeo with it, and I continue to pick it up whenever Heathcliff calls me, whenever Catherine calls me, and yeah, fantastic read. So Daniel, the little boy, discovered this book, and then it was in his possession, but then it turned out to be a book that uncovered so many secrets, and it led him to the love of his life, his best friends. It just, as he became, from being a little boy to being a man, and that journey, that yes, that transformation, as he obviously wanted to protect the book, the manuscript that was supposed to be burnt, that was supposed to be forgotten, and then coming across the author and understanding his story and understanding where he was coming from. It is layered so beautifully, and also it really brings Barcelona to life, and you get to walk in the streets of Barcelona, the corners and the hidden gems, and it's fantastic. It really is a fantastic book. Like I said, I'm actually currently reading The Prisoner of Heaven, so I shall be reporting back to you. So if you want something that is really going to take you to a certain place in a certain time, this is it, because it was written in it's set up in 1954. I have Going Home by Danielle Steele. I believe this was her first book, and this is a story for women. I really recommend this book because Gillian was married, divorced her husband, moved to San Francisco with her daughter. She left behind, that suit, navy blue suit and shirt and tie kind of guy, and then she chose somebody who was completely opposite to her and to him. She really wanted contrast, because sometimes contrast really announces to you what it is that you want and don't want. But then again, this guy was a serial cheater, the one that she ended up with, but she was hopelessly in love with him. So there were times when I would want to get in the book and be like, Gillian, you need to wake up. This guy is just not good for you, but the heart wants what it wants. So we get to see that battle, and then when she finally left him and she met another guy, then she went back to him again. So the thing that ended up separating them was death. And but she was well loved. Gillian was well loved. Even the guy whom she left behind for the serial cheater really accepted her for who she is, her flaws. And the serial cheater, the problem was that he was in love with her daughter as well. He treated her daughter so well. So therefore it was very difficult for her to see past his flaws, because he was so good with her daughter. And it's very difficult for women, isn't it, particularly single mothers, to find somebody who can love you and accept you and your children. So when you find that man, it's difficult, because it just adds on to that layer of love, doesn't it? So I could see why she was struggling to let him go, and obviously knowing his flaws. One time she had a job. She was a makeup artist, so she had a job, and she was supposed to take about 3 hours. She ended up finishing sooner. When she came back home, she found him in their bed with another woman, and his reasoning capacity was, if you came home late, you would have found us, so this is actually on you. So this is what they call gaslighting now, isn't it? And she forgave him all his scruples, and the next one will be more foolish than the other, and she'll still look past that. So I really hated it for her, but then again, it was her journey, and I feel like she had to go through that in order for her to go back to the man who was waiting for her, the man that she fell in love with, who actually accepted her for who she was. And so it's basically a story about love and forgiveness and starting over, and contrast as well, knowing what you want or don't want, so that you can know what you want, if you will. So you have to experience both of them, and then you'll be able to analyze that. So it's difficult for me to be hard on Gillian, because she was going through what she was going through, and I think that was her journey. Next I have Marybow, Slightly Dangerous. I really love this. I relish Jane Austen, but I just feel like her books are very sugary and a bit predictable. Whereas with Mary, the main character, he was he's a bit of a Darcy, more exciting and more mysterious, I should say. And Tin, also the lead character, she's the one who ended up falling in love with. His name was Charles, and he was actually a duke himself. So he was wealthy, and he didn't believe in marriage. And when he met her, she was she was a widow. She was widowed and a teacher, but she was a daughter of a gentleman, but her father passed away, if that makes sense. Yeah. So according to society back then, she had reached her sell-by date, basically, because she was a bit older. She had been married before. She was only a teacher. She wasn't wealthy. Her father, who was a gentleman, had passed on. So therefore, she had all those strikes against her, but she was beautiful, intelligent, and she was comfortable in her own skin, and she wasn't afraid to express her opinions. And this duke, that's what he fell in love with, Charles. And although it posed a lot of complications in their relationship, because he also didn't believe in love. He believed in having mistresses. He had several mistresses around London, and that's what he wanted to offer Catherine, that look, you don't have to stay in the village. I can give you a carriage, I can give you this, I can give you that. You will have respectability, you will have honor because you'll be my mistress. And she refused that, but knowing her conditions, she would have said yes, okay, fine, I will be your mistress, because obviously she didn't have much to stand on. But she refused. She said absolutely not, and besides, you're boring and you will suck the life out of me. Yes, and I love that about her, because she really stood her ground. And then eventually he couldn't find peace when he went back to London after they parted. He couldn't find peace. He had to go back to her and beg her for her hand in marriage, and he had to show her that, look, I am serious, I have all these responsibilities. However, I do have a fun side. I'm a loving uncle, I'm a doting uncle. I can be fun, yes. And she had to witness that. He invited her over the weekend, and that's when she really realized that, you know what, I actually love this guy. And eventually they got married and they had children together. So I love the pace of this one, because like I said, unlike Jane Austen's books, they're a bit too sweet, whereas this one, I feel like it was real. There was a sense of realism to it, and I genuinely enjoyed it. And also, it's a very easy book. Like, you can just sit down one weekend and actually just plow through it. And yeah, it's a page turner. Definitely love her work. And this was my first read by her. I should pick up more. I have 11 Minutes by Paulo Coelho. If you're familiar with Paulo Coelho's work, I mean, you're obviously familiar with The Alchemist. Everybody and their mother read The Alchemist. I love The Alchemist because it is really the ultimate hero's journey, who you become in the process, and looking for your treasure and just following the omens. So this is your equivalence of Diego the shepherd, except this was a prostitute. I don't know if I'm allowed to say it in this region, but I'm just gonna say it. She was a prosy. Let's go with prosy. And she was a Brazilian girl, and she took a chance. She followed her omens, and she ended up in Switzerland. That's where she worked as a prosy. But what I want to say about Maria is that if you think of her as just a prosy, I think you've already missed the entire book, because Paulo Coelho is this way of inserting a lot of esoteric wisdom in his books, because this one talks about finding your soulmate, recognizing your soulmate, seeing the light in somebody, because sometimes we don't even know why we're attracted to certain people, isn't it? And so this is what it's all about. It's not just about her as a working girl. Yes, she was a working girl. Yes, she was a prosy. But there was that search for something more to life. That was about finding your significant other. It's about awakening that soul. What does it say? It is the same hand that created heaven and earth. It's the same hand that created the twin soul for everybody. And it took her that journey from Brazil. She didn't even know where she was going and what exactly was expected of her, but she followed the omens anyway, and she ended up in Switzerland. And that's where she met her artist, her painter, Ralph Hart. It's a beautiful story, but more to the point, like I said, if you just see it as a working girl, as a prosy alone, you've already missed 90% of the book, because it goes deeper than that. It also talks about sex, the power of sex, and when you do it with the right person, your soul would definitely announce to you that, you know what, I have found my other half. And love is complicated. Love has so many faces and so many colors, so therefore it is wonderful when you actually can connect to someone, with someone on that deeper level. And he didn't judge her for what he did, and also she didn't judge him for picking it up, because they're just different sides of the same coin. So this is a story about soulmates and recognizing your counterpart and the person you're supposed to, your twin flame, if you will. So yeah, love this book. a hero's journey as well, because they ended up together. I have Elizabeth Strout, Oh William. This is one of my absolute favorite books by Elizabeth Strout. I think I have a video pertaining to this book. I really love this because the washing machine. So this book, the way it's written, it's like you're having a conversation with a family friend, you're having a conversation with an aunt, you're having a conversation with somebody you met maybe at the airport. You both don't have books, and then you just end up talking. I love that the characters are really tangible, and this is about Lucy. Lucy is the one who always used to go, oh William, because she was married to William. And what makes this sad is that Lucy came from bone-chilling poverty, but she was very intelligent. She got a scholarship. She became a published author so many times, I think 3 times over, if I'm not mistaken, but she still felt inadequate. She still felt like she doesn't belong. She still felt like she wasn't worthy of her success. You know, that smallness followed her throughout her life, and now she married this German American guy who is tall, good looking, intelligent, and there were always women in their relationship, in their marriage. From the beginning, there was always another woman. He was having an affair after another, and then eventually one day she picked up a mattress company. She picked up the phone and called a mattress company, placed an order for a mattress, and got an apartment. And just like that, she eventually got the courage to leave him. And William was so flawed, despite his accolades, despite being so wealthy and good looking and gorgeous, head full of hair. He still found a way to mess things up. He was his own worst enemy, and even his 3rd or 4th wife eventually left him again. The same way Lucy left is the same way his last wife left him as well. And it ends by saying that we're all a mystery to ourselves, in the manner of that guy from the manner of Merle from The Walking Dead. He says, I'm a damn mystery to myself. I don't even know why I am the way I am. So that's how the book ends as well. She says at the end, but when I think, oh William, I don't mean oh Lucy too. Don't I mean oh everybody in this whole wide world? We do not know anybody, not even ourselves, except a little tiny bit. But we are all mythologies, mysterious. We are all mysteries, is what I mean. I think we really are, and that's why it's important to have self-awareness and just keep on evolving as a person and keep on studying yourself, because we really are a mystery to ourselves. So yeah, this book, like I said, it's really fantastic in the sense that it really is, yeah, it's an easy read, but then it's so layered with wisdom as well, and it's got those moments that just make you also go, oh William, and despite his flaws you can't help but love him, and also despite Lucy's insecurities you can't help but also fall in love with her as well. So this is definitely another book for women. Yeah, of Casterbridge by Thomas Hardy. Now we're getting deeper. Now we're getting to the heart of the matter. If you want classic literature that is going to challenge you, that is going to change you, the work of Thomas Hardy is going to definitely be instrumental for you. And I love Thomas Hardy because he always chooses that old rural English countryside as his backdrop, as his locations, and they just come to life and they've got that timeless feel to them. And so this is Casterbridge. This Michael Henchard is the main character. You can't help but want to just get in the books and really smack his behind, because again, he is his own worst enemy. I don't know what to say about Michael. I just feel like he had so many opportunities. First, he sells his daughter and his wife. He was drunk one night, and then from there he actually rose to power, but he found a way to mess it up always. And you can see his hand throughout the book. And there are times when you're like, we're presented with these two choices, like there's no way you can mess it up, Michael, like there is absolutely no way. And what does Michael do? Michael finds a way to mess it up. Oh my goodness, eventually he just had to die. Unfortunately, he died. There was no turning back. He had a death wish, basically. But this will change you, because really it's about the weight of our choices. We always talk about entropy, and whatever is in motion is going to keep on going in motion. So with Michael, although he had chances to rewrite his history, his story, he just kept on finding ways to just ruin it. He just couldn't help it. So yeah, heartbreaking but extremely important work of literature. Again, another brilliant work of literature by Thomas Hardy, Far from the Madding Crowd. I love this because it's a girl, a very simple girl who inherited a farm from a very large-scale farm from her uncle, and it's set in another village called Weatherbury. I love this because she ended up having 3 suitors, and unlike Michael, at least she Bathsheba really made the wise decision. There was no doom. I was expecting doom. I was expecting her to choose the wrong suitor, but she ended up with a man that was genuinely kind, hardworking, honest, faithful, all that good stuff. But I love that obviously there's a lot of use of scripture in a comical way. There's a character that everybody falls in love with. His name is Joseph Poorgrass. I love him. He is our Kramer of our time. He is hilarious, and during all those seriousness and her trying to figure out who to choose, running the farm, learning about the business, there is Joseph Poorgrass with his humor, and there's a lot of pub stories and getting drunk, and also the usage of scripture, of the Bible. I find it to be fascinating. So this is not a dooms kind of book, unlike, because Thomas Hardy is very famous for depressing stuff. I love this. This is an easy read, again, really interesting, and it does have a lot of comedy. So like I said, if you're looking for a Kramer kind of guy, definitely you can find 1 or 2 in Far from the Madding Crowd. Voice of Reason. I love the Voice of Reason. So it's just little stories in a book. And I also love The Grain of Truth, one of my favorite books. It's like Beauty and the Beast, but even better. Oh my goodness. And I love The Question of a Lesser Evil, I think. The Question of Price. The Queen clasped her narrow white hands together and lightly rested her chin on them. Geralt didn't interrupt, nor did he comment. Kings, continued Calanthe, that was the queen, divides people into 2 categories. Those they order around and those they buy, because they are dead to the old and banal truth that everyone can be bought. Everyone. It's a question of price. And if you think about it, it can be offensive, but it actually is true, isn't it? It is a question of price. So sometimes it's about, what are you willing to pay? At what price? Favorite because it's really packed with a lot of wisdom, and that's one of the chapters that we get to really see the queen negotiating and working. Next we have Great Expectations by Charles Dickens. If you have children, if you have teenage boys, I think every boy should read this book, or everybody, as a matter of fact. Charles Dickens, I think, is definitely one of the greatest writers of all time. I love Pip. I absolutely love him. Amazing to get to witness his mind from the time he was little and his reasoning capacity to him becoming a man. Utterly beautiful to witness him coming into age and being a child, his reasoning capacity and what goes on in his mind. Some of the things that he says are really shocking and in an innocent sort of manner, and it's just beautiful. The beginning says, my father's name being Pirip and my Christian name Philip. My infant tongue could make both names nothing longer or more explicit than Pip. So I called myself Pip and came to be called Pip. How can you not fall in love with Charles Dickens? Oh my goodness, this is not an easy read. I think you have to be well advanced in your work for you to really appreciate such layered and rich literature. So it took me a while for me to really get into it, and people always say he was raised by the hand. Even Joe, his brother-in-law, was raised by the hand. He was married by the hand, and because his sister was really abusive. So there are times when I would want to get into the book and really just mother Pip to pieces because I could feel what he was going through. And we also get to see interesting characters like Mr. Pumblechook, who was a know-it-all and he wanted to be the head of the family. Pip's sister really worshipped the ground he walks on. We get to meet Miss Havisham and why she was the way she was. Her heartbreaking story. My goodness, I feel like she deserved a book. I mean, just her life story is really interesting. So this is a hero's journey as well, and it's about having great expectations and knowing what's yours and what's not yours and what can possibly happen when you mistake the two. And it's also beautiful to see Pip's friendships when he got to London and the people he had around, Herbert and his lawyer. It's a fantastic book. Definitely a 10 out of 10. So last but certainly not least, we had to finish off with my book of the year, Tess of D'Urbervilles. Now, this comes with a very big disclaimer. If you're depressed, if you're going through a heartbreak, if you are prone to just being unhappy and miserable, this is not for you. This book is going to break your heart. To this day, Tess is one of the characters that, I mean, I love Pip. Pip is always coming to me and we laugh together. But Tess, my heart still bleeds to this day, and she did nothing wrong, but things just kept on happening to her despite being a good person, and everybody let her down. Her father, her mother, her husband, everybody let her down, and it just breaks your heart. And towards the end, she obviously died. I remember I commented on Benji, one of the guys that I absolutely love on, obviously here on YouTube. So I mentioned that I got Tess, and then he says, oh, it's heavy. And I was like, oh, it can't be that bad, surely. So when I went in, I was like, oh my God. But you can't put it down because of the way it's written. It is one of the most well-written book of all time. And yeah, heartbreaking as it is, you can't put it down. You just cannot. It's just impossible because it will consume you. It is all you're going to be thinking about. It is all you would want to get back to at the end of the day. So yeah, I genuinely love this. There's a part that says that, why didn't you tell me? Why didn't you warn me there is danger? Other ladies, they're prepared for this, because nobody prepared her for the danger that was ahead of her. And she was a beautiful girl as well. So I don't want to spoil it for you, but she really suffered a lot of loss, and she was slut shamed as well. I think that's the modern terminology that I can use. And the very thing that her husband did, she also did, but then obviously she had a child who died, and she named him Sorrow, and she had to baptize the child. Oh God, I can't. It's heavy, but I would say even when I'm on the treadmill, there are times when she just comes to me. I'm making dinner, Tess comes to me, I am minding my own business, I swear to God, and she just comes to me. And yeah, but like I said, do not read this if you're going through stuff. You just cannot. So as you can see, there was a lot of literature here because I'm over the whole self-help books. But read what you like, read what tickles your fancy. It was a lot of rambling. I don't even know how many minutes. Oh my God, 40 minutes of rambling. I do hope you enjoyed this video. If you want me to do my to be read list for 2024, do let me know, because we managed to pick up a few books for 2024. And there's some that I didn't read last year that I still have to carry over, obviously, to 2024. And do let me know what you're reading or what you read. What is one of the books that really made a profound impact on you? I would love to know. That being said, love one another, take care of one another, and be kind to one another. If nothing else, I shall be seeing you in my next video. Bye.
The landing wheels are retracting. Yeah, and the number 2 nozzles won't work either. What? Are you for real? We can't land without them. I knew I should. Whatever happens, happens. Put your head on my shoulder. Hold me in your arms, baby.